What's up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today we are getting into the downfall of Louisville basketball. Kenny Payne is out after just 2 seasons. Former player, actually won a national championship with the Louisville Cardinals back in '86. They ran him out of town pretty quick. There's been a lot of drama. This downfall has been sudden and sharp. From leading the ACC, being a top 15 in the country the year that COVID shut everything down, to now being as bad as they have been since the 1930s. The Louisville Cardinals have a lot to figure out. We're going to get into that after I mentioned to y'all to visit to TotemPoleNation.com to get some gear to support the boys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Sideline Sports Network. As always, let's get into the Cardinals right now.
Well, I was at the ACC tournament, obviously, on Tuesday, and they lost, obviously. I thought they played a very good game, but it's not good enough, and I feel like Louisville fans have gotten very impatient. I think ever since the Rick Pitino, the loss of the championship, and once he was let go because of some allegations, and then you had Chris Mack. You had a great couple years with Chris Mack, but then Chris Mack resigned in 2021. And then you hired Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne was a long-time assistant under John Calipari at Kentucky. He also became the New York Knicks assistant under Tom Thibodeau. And then at his alma mater, like I said, he became the coach. Now, his 2 seasons, right? I know he was 4-28 and 8-24. Not good enough. You were 2-18 your first year of conference play and 3-17. Your head coach record was 12-52. I do understand that Juwan Howard did get fired at 8-24, but Juwan Howard had about 5 years. Kenny Payne only had 2. Now I understand that, you don't get results, you get fired. But look what Kenny Payne is going against with. He doesn't have the resources that he once has. He also had a couple guys that were on the team. One of them transferred to go play overseas in the middle of the season. Other guys, John Calipari stole from him. Obviously, it's recruiting. You get guys and all that stuff like that. I understand that. But I just felt like the support of Louisville wasn't fully with him. He said it's going to take about 3 to 4 years to rebuild that team. He only had 2, right? He only had that one guy, Clark. He dropped 38 in the loss. That's his only best player on the team is him. The only best player on the team. I guess Louisville just, Louisville just, after that loss to NC State, they lost any hope. I understand they gave him a 6-year contract, but I guess all you dumb ADs, like the overpaid coaches, fire him after 2 years and then go ahead and pay his buyout. It's going to be worth $8 million for 4 more years. So I guess you have the money to go do it. You go ahead and do it. That's for your sake. But when it comes to Louisville, he shouldn't have been fired. Record, you can debate that. Yeah, the record was so bad. Well, look who he's competing against. Who's the other school in Louisville? Oh, Kentucky. Yeah, the Kentucky Wildcats, who've always number 1 and number 2 in recruiting. You have to compete against those guys. What about the resources? The NIL money and the resources in Louisville damn ain't the same with Kentucky. Kentucky's had guys in the NBA. Anthony Davis. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Tyler Hero. I can go on. Louisville has Donovan Mitchell and some other guys as well. Like, I understand that. But see, at the end of the day, was the AD really with him or not? Now, before you get into all that, like I said, they lost a couple players. They had DJ Wagner recruited as the program director of player personnel, and then he committed to Kentucky. Aaron Bradshaw committed to Kentucky as well. So a couple of those guys that got, stolen as well, and Trenton Flowers left the program to play professional basketball in Australia. And then they had a couple guys get dismissed from the team and stuff like that. So it was more of it's a roster thing, and I understand you went from 4 wins to 8 wins, but it's not enough. And then also the beginning of the year, they lost to some team they should have never lost to in the first game of the season. I even forgot who that team was. But
D2. It was a D2 team.
yeah, they lost at home. And I guess that raised eyebrows. And, you know, they didn't win that many road games. Their first road game they won was January 10th against Miami, but then they went 2-15 the rest of the way. I don't know what potential head coaching. There's plenty of good head coaching in college basketball, but who wants to go to Louisville if you only going to get 2 years and then get fired? So college basketball is a little bit harder to rebuild than it is in college football and other sports. So I wish he had more time. I understand the record wasn't the same, but I don't agree with this hiring, and Louisville's going to get fucking worse.
Well, getting worse from an 8-win season is pretty tough. And, his first year, what did he get? 4-28.
4-24 or 28, yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty tough to get worse from that. The culture issues in the locker room, players, sitting in the stands to watch the last few games because they don't want to be part of the team anymore and all that. Coaches shouldn't have to deal with that. That's an unfortunate, addition. Trenton Flowers, 5-star that dropped out to go play in the NBL. That was part of a class that was 26 in the country. That's not bad for the first full recruiting class of a complete rebuild. And then the next class was 6th in the country. And then what they do? They went out and they lost to a D2 school in an exhibition before the season started. So he had a top 10 class in the country recruiting wise. The issue is when it comes to the NIL and the recruiting stuff, when it comes to transfers, I don't think that they're behind the curve as like we're making them out to be. That if we look at their football team, who historically speaking is not as relevant as Louisville's basketball team, they were able to build a complete roster out of transfers last year. Now, obviously, like you said, it's harder in basketball to do it, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible to do it. And a school of Louisville's caliber, who before COVID was still one of the best teams in the country, not just the ACC, in the country, written in, year out as a contender to make some sort of noise in March, to we're just 4 years in the future now, complete bottom of the barrel. It's just as much Payne's fault as it is the coach before him. His record has been worse than Max in the years before him. And obviously, you can't expect guys to just drop out and go play pro in the middle of the season. You don't expect guys to just quit on the team because they couldn't find the right pair of athletic leggings. Like those are the stories that you read about, just complete bullshit. And that sucks for that coach. But he also had the 6th best class and put dog shit on the floor. So 2 years is too early. I agree with you there. But with the way the culture was looking in just 2 years, it getting worse somehow from what he inherited from Mac, I can see why the firing could be argued. Do I think it should have happened right now? No. I would say give him another year. But resource and NIL wise, I just don't see as the problem. Louisville has resources. They have NIL collectives. They wouldn't be able to fund a football team made up of 60 to 70% transfers if that wasn't the case. And it was the case, and they still couldn't capitalize on it. They couldn't bring any top talent in. And that comes down to your coach's recruiting as well. So regardless of how good the high school recruiting was, they needed some guys from this transfer portal. They didn't hit it. And now the team is like statistically worse than they've been since like the 1930s.
Ooh. Yeah. That's just it's tough. I think it hits hard just because with certain black coaches, you don't ever know if you're going to get a Division 1 job ever again, especially when you have a losing record like that. I don't know. Um, like I said, he probably would coach somewhere else. Louisville still got to pay him $8 million in buyout for the next 4 years. So that's what it is. Hopefully Louisville turns it around, but I'm not sure what the direction Louisville wants. I understand you're not going to get a Rick Pitino ever again. That was a great coach. That Louisville had his championships. They was always that team in the ACC, but they lost their mind. So I don't know what's going to happen with Louisville going forward. Hopefully they'll hire the correct coach. They'll probably hire a coach right after March Madness. Obviously, we'll see if a couple top guys from big schools go to Louisville, but I doubt it just because of dysfunctional. You know, if your AD is only going to give you 2 years, you might want to stay at the school that you're at. So all good coaches don't come to Louisville. If you're going to hire somebody, hire their assistant or somebody. Hire the assistant that was under Kenny Payne. And
yeah, but do you even want to continue that culture? Like I feel like I would want to reset. I don't know if I want to bring anybody in from that staff. If we've got guys quitting mid-season, if we've got guys not playing because they couldn't find their damn leggings, like I don't know if I want any. It's kind of like the Fuente thing. Like I'm glad we kept JC Price and one other positions coach. Everybody else, get the hell out of here. We don't need anything to do with that culture, with what we're trying to rebuild this team into. I think a similar mindset could be and should be used in trying to get Louisville back to where they belong.
I agree. We will see how this goes for Louisville. Like I said, they're still looking for a head coach, and they just lost on Wednesday. So they got plenty of time to figure things out after the ACC tournament loss to NC State, which they did have that game at some point. But they find a way to blow games just like Virginia Tech does, but even worse. But this is it for Lambeau Match for the Sports. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Total Bowl Nation. We want to thank you, Silas, for the platform. We are 700 subscribers away from 120,000. Hit that subscribe button. Y'all have a great night. Please take care.